Hi, I'm Paul Nielsen, and I'm here to show you a brief introduction to the Ministry Weaver application and some of the concepts. I hope you're doing fine and having a good day. When you first open the application, you'll notice that there are three main sections. Across the top, there is a task toolbar. This needs to be cleaned up some. It doesn't look very pretty right now, but we'll work on that. Over on the left is the main filter. The main filter presents types and regions. This workflow state probably needs to be moved back over here underneath the selection of the type area. And the large area is the tabbed area where tabs open up for tasks, browses, or to see a particular object. Ministry Weaver is an object-oriented database. What we call a type here in the user interface, we call a class inside of the stored procedures, inside of the database code, and it's referred to as a class ID that belongs to the object. Every object must belong to at least one class, but can have more than one class, and every object must belong to one region. The main filter filters all of the browse style tabs, so you'll notice as I down arrow through the types or the regions, that the browse area is refiltered. The browse area also filters by workflow state or status, which is also very useful. Other functions from the main task toolbar include opening up the favorites, which then opens up a tab if you click on them, viewing the history, which returns the complete set of objects that have ever been viewed by this particular user. This is the quick search. Quick search lets you find an object very quickly using the name, using a nickname, using the object code, using the type or class. And you can also even do some region work in here too, if there was enough data for the region. The New button opens up a dialog to enter a new object. This calls a stored procedure, which takes the basic data you've entered, splits it apart, and stores it into all the correct tables. The dashboard is also filtered by type, region, and by workflow state, which means that the workflow state, back over here in the browse, eventually does need to be moved from this spot back over to the main filter. The activity is used to browse the activity stream of all the objects filtered by the event type, by the date, which user and team has created the data. There is a system inside of the database to do proactive alerts based upon data policies or rules, and these can be seen here in the alerts. All of this needs to be built on the UI. The database is pretty complete. Settings is ugly. Connections needs to go away. So that's a basic overview of this application. However, I need to show you we'll open up Mary Smith here as an object, and then I'll close all of the other tabs just to keep things a little bit cleaner and shrink this out of the way. So here's Mary Smith's object editor. We call this top tab the object editor. In the first tab, it presents the basic data. This basic data changes depending upon whether or not the type or class is flagged as a person or not a person. We take a basic record, which most nonprofit donor software will store as a husband and wife in a single record, because mailing labels go out to a husband and wife and checks come in from husband and wife. But we, however, store that data as two objects. To reduce the extra work, we give a link right here to the spouse. The workflow state area, and this needs to be renamed to type and status, shows what types and statuses the object has right now. Most object-oriented systems, there's a standard rule that the object must belong to only one class. We allow the object to belong to at least one, but several additional classes. So this shows that this person is wearing to use an American phrase, multiple hats or taking on multiple roles. This person is working as there's in there as just a person and also as a volunteer. We could potentially add another class to them. Say they become, they run for the board, so the board of directors, they become a board member, prospect, and then we see board member prospect is added. If they then eventually become elected to the board, we could edit that and change them to active. Let's make this a couple days from now, and now they're active. Each one of the classes that they belong to or types that they belong to could potentially give them attributes, which would then show up here in these boxes. So if there were attributes for a board member, a box would then appear and show them as a board member. In the Activity tab, we see a full stream of everything that has happened to this user. Contact information changing, email activity, adding and being removed from lists, changes to their type and status, which is the same thing as class and workflow state, forms, which you'll be working on, phone activity, data, and financial data, which is all coming down the pike. So here we can see that we added them as a board member and we changed their board member type to active down here. So a little bit of cleanup work needs to be done here, but this is a working thing. In the Contact tab, we store information about how to contact this person. So right now, they don't have a preferred method set. We could say they prefer email, monthly. Here's their home address. We could add a new address to it. A lot of work needs to be done. Its form is functional, but not very pretty right now. If we wanted to open up this particular address, we could click here and then you could see this address and edit it. They can have multiple addresses. There's an address, temporary addresses, scheduled addresses, alternate addresses. It's all there. The same thing is true with emails. We can keep track of emails, multiple phone numbers. The contact system is pretty much working but needs a lot of polish. The Forms area will contain forms. Forms are multiple one-to-many pieces of data that can be added to an object. For example, Mary was added as a board member. So maybe there's a form for board members to say what board members are assigned to, board member portfolio or board member review or audit or something. So each time a board member portfolio or audit is created, that could be added here. And there's mock-ups for all of this. I'm just giving you an introduction to the form right now. This is also a graph-style database, meaning we keep track of connections between objects. Here's Mary Smith. Mary Smith is connected to these particular objects, and here's the type of connection they have. So this is organized by object and then connection. If we do it by connection type, then Mary Smith has referred these objects. Mary Smith has given presentations to these objects. List and financial data will fill into this tab. The star adds or removes her from the favorites list, which is up here. So want to remove her, click, and then she is removed. We also keep track of engagement. So everything that happens to an object, whether it is they make a donation, they make a connection to somebody else, a form gets added, we make a phone call, they add a new type, they like us on Facebook. Anything pretty much that happens to an object gives them engagement points. We track all of that and we put it together in a nice graph. And here's a mailing address preview to a mailing label for this person. So this is a brief, quick introduction to the object editor. Let me also show you the dashboard one more time now that you've seen engagement. So if we look at volunteer, and there's only one volunteer in the system, this then shows a cumulative total engagement for all of the volunteers and a count. So it's a pretty nice, rich environment. It needs a lot of polish, and there's a lot of functionality in the database which is not yet exposed to the application. But this is a quick introduction to just the application. Thanks for listening.